we wanted to place a warning before this episode as it contains graphic detail in relation to suicide. Please also note that this conversation's sole purpose is to prevent and help people from taking their own life. My name is Michael Coates. I'm a former firefighter, but I'm also a former soldier. And it's the stories from the individuals within this military community that I'm desperate to document. This episode covers some very uncomfortable yet vital ground. Being a parent to an honourable, brave and dedicated serving member of the military fills you with pride. Being a parent who buries a son because of suicide, well, that's beyond comprehension. Episode 7, Derek and Maria Hunt. This is Declassified. Maria, it's you I want to speak to first, actually, because I'm sure you're better with dates and times and stuff. When did you meet Derek?
Well, I come from an army family myself. So my father was Garrison Sergeant Major of Aldershot, and I met Derek, who was a driver in the RCT, which didn't go down very well. But however, we ended up getting married, much to my father's consternation. We had our marriage in Aldershot, in the Roman Catholic Church, in the Garrison Church, and the wedding reception in the Sergeant's Mess, bearing in mind Derek was a driver. And all the guests were RSMs, officers, and whatever. So that was it, really. We met and married, and 45 years later, we're still here.
And Derek, so you spent, how long in the military did you spend?
I spent 22 years.
Did you?
Yeah.
When did you join?
I joined in 1971.
All right, okay.
Prior to that, I was 3 years in the Territorial Army with the London Irish Rifles.
Okay, so you're a real military man?
Yeah.
Through and through?
Yeah.
So 1978, Nathan was born. And what was family life like kind of growing up in that environment?
Well, Nathan was born in Germany. So we were backwards and forwards to Germany, really, for the first 10 years of his life. And then we settled in Lincoln. Okay. Derek's last posting was Grantham. So we bought a house in Lincoln. And he went to Gordon Boys' School, which is a boarding school, for a year. And then he left there and went to school in Lincoln to do his last 2 years.
Was life as a kind of child growing up in the military, was it good? Was it disruptive? What was life kind of like in that sense?
I think just like any sort of military life, when you've got children, obviously it can disrupt their education, because obviously when you're in Germany, they go into the forces schools. As Maria said, we tried to settle him into a private school paid for by the army. But he couldn't settle. Him and his brother couldn't settle at the Gordon school. So basically, we bought them out because we couldn't put them through that sort of mental problem. If they weren't sort of geared to that type of schooling, then it would be unfair to have kept them there. So we bought them out.
Was you close growing up? Because you've been moving around a lot, and then they're going to boarding school. Was you really close to as a family? Because obviously you'd have been out here, there, and everywhere as well, Derek. Was you?
Oh yeah. We've always stuck together.
Yeah.
We always were together. As a family.
And then it's kind of secondary school. Then what was Nath?
Our Nathan was naturally clever.
Yeah.
He didn't try at school, but he still managed to get 9 O-levels.
Oh really?
Yeah. He was just naturally clever, but he messed about quite a lot as well. And
I'm sure.
He was always army-barmy because his granddad was in the army and Derek was in the army.
Yeah.
He joined the Sea Cadets, and there was 3 of them, all friends at the same school, and they all joined up at the same time.
Yeah.
But they all joined different branches. One went into the Paras and one went into the Marines.
Yeah.
And he's kept in touch with them, over the years.
Yeah. I was in the Army Cadets for I did 3 years, and it's such a nice.
Yeah.
And I hated school. I didn't learn much at school. I don't think I was particularly clever there. But the Army Cadets was what really kind of pulled me in, and I've still got friends from there as well. So it is a running theme with people at join. It gives that real that purpose of.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit like the TA, it gives you that grounding, it gives you that idea, either you're that way inclined to go on in the military or it's not for you.
Yeah, but it's not a recruitment ground either, it's just it's a children's club, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah,
but it teaches some really good values and standards.
And he was always one, he used to buy these books on survival, so he knew how to survive in the woods, sort of.
Was he outside a lot growing up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was always in the woods, camping, with his mates.
Yeah.
Or
where was the? You've said it already. But where was the family home? So like from age 11 upwards?
Lincoln.
Was it in Lincoln?
In Lincoln, yeah. We bought our own house in Lincoln.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then did all schooling, did pretty well. 1994, age 16, he joined as a kind of a boy soldier.
Boy soldier, yeah.
Yeah, he came home, didn't he, and said, he wanted to join the army. So I took him down to the recruiting office in Lincoln, that was at the time. But he wanted to join the paras at first. But because they wouldn't accept him till he was 17, that was the end of that. So we came home, and then I got a phone call from the recruiting sergeant at Lincoln and said, would Nathan be interested in joining as a junior soldier with the Royal Engineers? So when he came home from school that night, I just put it to him, and he said, yeah. He said, I'll jump at the chance.
That's cool, yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah, what was your feelings like then with him joining?
Oh, yeah, absolutely over the moon.
Was you?
Yeah. I took his brother down as well, but it wasn't for him.
No, it's not for
He took
everyone.
a different path.
What was you like, Maria, when he joined?
Oh, I was pleased, because that's all I'd ever known.
Yeah.
The whole, my dad was pleased, and no, I'm proud of
There
them.
wasn't too much going on at that time as well. There was, I think,
No.
Bosnia had happened, but Kosovo
We hadn't
hasn't,
had the
and-
conflicts
Exactly.
that, that our Nathan's seen.
But you'd been, you was in around the Falklands and Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah, I'd done the Northern Ireland tour, and then obviously I went down to the Falklands, attached to the RAF Chinook squadron. As part of the RCT, we used to do all the underslung loads for the Chinooks, and so that was my role down there as NCOIC in charge of the RCT and the RAF movers that operated the Chinooks down there.
So you was, especially from a mum, you was no anxiety with him going in. It was,
Not really.
it
I
was all
just
a
thought what a
natural step.
brilliant life he would have, because
Yeah, okay.
obviously, you'll have a lot of fun in the army, and you've got the camaraderie, So me growing up in the army only saw the nice side of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously my dad had some wonderful postings. We lived in Kenya for 3 years, and Cyprus for 3 years, and Bermuda for 3 years. So I saw, and of course my dad was always, Sergeant Major RSM
Yeah.
and Garrison Sergeant Major, when I was in the sort of formative years, if you like.
Yeah.
So I saw it from rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah. Always well respected and getting invited to all the good stuff.
That's right, yeah.
What did you end up with in the end? What rank?
Sergeant, I came out. Yeah, I was CASVAC back from the Falklands, basically medically downgraded from then on, so I couldn't go anywhere else apart from the UK.
It's a shame, isn't it, when people get physically downgraded, and then there's this thing that I'm sure we'll go into in a second, but we've alluded to in different episodes, where people are scared now to come forward with, like, kind of, in brackets, mental health issues because of fear of being downgraded and then fear of promotion.
Yeah.
But I'm going to leave that there for a second.
Yeah.
So Nave joined 16, went through, where was he? Where did he go through?
I think he went
The
down
Army
through
apprentice.
Chatham.
Did he? Yeah,
Was it
okay.
Chatham or...
Was it Deal? I get muddled up.
Yeah, I can't remember really, because obviously a lot of it's all changed now.
Yeah,
but I'm sure people out there all know where.
There's Chepstow, aren't they? And then
Yeah.
yeah. And where did he go then in them first few years? Was you always like in touch with him all the time?
Yeah.
Especially them first.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to write or phone home. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he went to Bosnia not long after.
Joining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
gruesome. My brother was there, did a couple of tours at the same time as Nave going there then, and he and a few of his mates have been taken aback by it, like what was going on.
Yeah. He never really spoke about what went on.
Yeah.
You know, because from there, because he must have met Rachel at some stage then.
Yeah, that'd have been early 2000. So before we get to that point, yeah, let's just jump there then. Let's just jump to kind of the Germany time. So we've had them kind of first 7 years. He went to Germany, went to 3-5 Engineer Regiment, early 2000s. That's when he met his first wife.
Yeah.
But was he? In between all that time, was he open? Did he used to speak? Because you've just mentioned it. Then was he open? Was he speaking about things? Did he mention what was going on in army life? Was he an open book, or was he pretty closed? Was he quiet?
He was fairly quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. He kept things to himself, really. Yeah, because we didn't really see much of him then, because he was either courting
Yeah.
Rachel or he was away.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, he was always fairly kept things to himself.
So I went to 3-5 in 2000, end of 2001, beginning of 2002, and Nath was in the same squadron. I was in the same squadron as Nath. I joined as a little sprog, and he was I think he was a Landstrack at the time, maybe full screw. But when I got there, he was pretty quiet, but he was always the one that led from the front. He wasn't a bully. He didn't give anyone shit. Like he was really someone who. My brother once said, he said, when you go to your regiment, find someone, get that person, and then follow what they do. You don't need to be best mates with them, but just look at what they do, how they conduct themselves. That person won't come and speak to you straight away. You'll have to earn their respect.
Yeah.
They're the ones you need to follow, and there was a few of them in our squadron. He was certainly one of them.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean by like him being fairly quiet.
Yeah. He only used to tell me what I wanted to hear. He wouldn't tell me anything that would worry me, because I think he thought because of the problems we'd had with our Daniel, he didn't want to add to any more worry. So he kept things to himself.
You was proud of him, weren't you, as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and the people that knew him have got nothing horrible to say. He was so respected and honoured, and that meant a lot to Nathan, was honour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did tours of places like Kosovo, all the Balkans and stuff like that, and then Iraq, Northern Ireland. And now I want to start kind of getting into the Afghan tour, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And this was one where, it was heating up. There was a lot of stuff going on. His role was quite specific within. I'll let you carry on with this concept, especially you, Derek. I think I'm going to roll it with you. But yeah, if you could just take us back to then that time and talk about your two feelings about Afghan 2008 and kind of what went on. In your own words. So.
Yeah, I think obviously once he'd gone through the Bosnias and all that lot, obviously the Afghan war was a little bit more intense, I think. I suppose I could equate it probably to the Falklands War, where it was full on, but obviously over a longer period. And obviously we're still not out of there yet. And again, I think, just going back to what Maria said, that because of all the angst and the worry and what he was up to and that, he sort of never really let on to us what was going on out there. Obviously, we gained a lot of information from people that attended his funeral. But by all accounts, he was pretty well full on. He got attached to the Household Cavalry Regiment. There was him and another guy, Dean Smith, and as part of their role with the Household Cavalry, it was to locate IEDs.
So, what does ID stand for?
Improvised explosive devices.
Yeah.
So they used to go out and recce the safe areas, or pass through for the troops behind them, and obviously then the specialist teams will come in and destroy them. So I think he kept that fairly well quiet, because obviously at that time, it was full on the news. There was a lot of serious injuries, deaths.
There's a lot of deaths.
Maimings and everything else. And I think,
a lad from his school, Dan Shepherd, he got blown up. He was in, Nathan knew him.
Yeah.
He was in the year below him at school. Yeah.
What was your feelings like when he's out there?
I was a nervous wreck, Every time, I'm sorry, but again,
Just take.
Oh, just when I used to hear the news and someone had been killed and your heart was in your throat and it was, don't let it be Nathan, don't let it be Nathan. And that's really why I'm so gutted now. It's because for 22 years I worried about him. Yeah. Got through that. And then this. And it's been hard, for me, for both of us, as a mother, to have come through the 20 years.
Yeah.
And then this to happen. This is why we don't want this to happen anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard actually to jump from you there, Maureen, and speak to Derek actually. So just bear with me. Afghan 2000. Because I want to keep us there for a little bit.
No, sorry.
What was it like living, I suppose, together really as a couple as well during that time? What was you feeling like, Derek? Was you all right with him being away?
I probably accepted what he was doing far more than Maria, obviously, because serving myself in the forces, I know what goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, his mum didn't know what goes on behind the scenes. I know what goes on in the Falklands. I knew what went on in Northern Ireland. I know how how the system worked. So I wasn't too concerned about him being out there in his role and what he was doing. It just came naturally to me as a father that served. But I can understand, his mum's point of view. Obviously, it was a day before mobile phones, so it was either letters or we'd have to, wait for a phone call once a couple of,
Yeah, he used to phone me, and I remember him phoning me, I think, Christmas Day. And they were in Musakala, or they were going into Musakala. And there was, I could hear in the background, the fighter planes going overhead, and he was absolutely in his element.
Yeah.
He loved it. Sort of said, "What are you going to have for your Christmas dinner?" He said, "Oh, we're going to kill a goat in a minute." He just loved that adventure.
Yeah.
And he never told me anything that was horrible. It was just sort of, I'm having a brilliant time. I don't want to come home.
Oh, really?
Because that's what he joined for. He's
He was
soldiering.
such a professional.
He was gung-ho, but he wasn't cocky.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. He was, I don't know where he got it from. He certainly didn't get it from me, but I think he was definitely a born leader. He led from the front and people followed.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you said, he was one of those guys that, just got on with the job.
Yeah.
Looked at what he had to do and done it to the best of his ability.
He's very well respected.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know my mate Paul? He's taken over from Naas Oldroll. I think he's taken over from Naas Oldroll in Manchester area. But he went through training with him and all sorts. And I tried ringing him a few days ago actually, and I couldn't get in touch with him. He must be doing something because he's still in. And but I remember speaking when it all happened, and I think he was driving to the funeral when I was chatting with him. And just these guys who've been in 20 years, they don't hold back. If there's someone's crap, someone's crap. If someone's great, they'll say someone's great. And he just couldn't it was like a tragedy for people.
I know.
What happened, and we're not there yet, but
I know.
But yeah, so
Yeah, he was.
just a total professional, and which then leads us on to post 2008, and I want you to, Derek, I want you to lead with it actually, and talk about what happened after he came back, the citation he got, and the mention in dispatches, and what was, so he got mentioned in dispatches, and what happened?
Yeah, he was put forward for the award by the Household Cavalry for what he actually done in Afghan, because obviously at the time he was serving with Prince Harry's troop. So obviously I think he took his role of, quite seriously in what he was doing.
Yeah.
As regards the citation, until actually the first I got to see it was obviously he must have showed it to his mum, but I at that time hadn't seen it at all, so I had no idea he'd been given this award.
He felt embarrassed about
Yeah.
it because Dean, who was his friend, worked with him.
Yeah.
Because they were the two engineers. He didn't get it, but he did exactly the same as our Nathan.
Oh, okay.
And Nathan felt embarrassed because Nathan got it because he was the more senior, but he thought that it was wrong that he got it and Dean didn't.
I think medals and awards and whatnot, they often go to one person.
Yeah.
But that one person will feel embarrassed
I
because
know,
it's often
he
shared.
did.
You
Yeah.
listen
Yeah.
to Brian Wood's story in
Yeah.
episode 1. He's almost I'm not speaking for him here, but what I get from him, he's almost embarrassed to receive something that 5, 6 other lads
Yeah.
achieve. Really, so it's a real collective thing. And again, that's like his that the way he led.
Yeah.
Nathan, the way he led, it's not about me, it's about we.
Yeah.
So what did he actually do then? What was the mention in dispatches for? What was he actually doing?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously he was
Clearing IEDs, wasn't he?
well, he went out to, obviously with the mine detector thing,
okay.
and all the rest of it. I mean, I thought it was just a one-off incident that he'd got awarded for, but then when I looked at the citation, I think there was about 4 or 5 different days that it had gone over and above, obviously, the call of duty, because like all awards, you don't get medals or mentions in dispatches from commanders unless there's a reason. It's not an easy process to go through to be put forward for an award.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I actually the first time I sort of clapped eyes on the citation, I just couldn't believe what he was doing out there, and it was just, overwhelming even for me, and I'm thinking, well, we didn't know half of what was going on and what he was doing.
I mean, it's really. I read it this morning. It's real
Yeah.
heroic
Yeah.
stuff, and he wouldn't have mentioned it, and people kind of brush it off because it's just their normal day-to-day job. But their normal day-to-day job for most people is
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
can't comprehend what he'd gone through and just been in that risk area for a prolonged period of time and dealing with those situations and looking after that troop around him.
Yeah.
I think that was. Have we mentioned it? Yeah, because we mentioned it before we came on, but he was given his own troop.
Yeah, when we were at the wake after Nathan's funeral at the cathedral in Lincoln, we were speaking to obviously a lot of the guys from the Household Cavalry, because the Royal Armoured Corps were there, the Household Cavalry, obviously the Engineer regiments. And when we were speaking to the Household Cavalry, they were saying that they're a very close-knit unit, obviously because of their role in the army. And they said that Nathan was given C Troop, which for an outside regiment to come in and actually take command of a troop within the Household Cavalry was unheard of.
Yeah.
But they trusted him so much that they were happy to go along with that.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but like if you were, let's say, a troop in Afghanistan, you've got a troop commander, then you've got a staff sergeant or colour sergeant or whatever, and really it's that colour sergeant, staff sergeant that's running the show.
Yeah.
Isn't he? He's the one with all the experience, and the troop commander's there to
Well, the thing is, on all the tours that the Household Cavalry had done in Afghan, the tour that Nathan was out there with them was the only time. Yeah,
them.
but it was the only time where the whole troop came back
They never
unscathed.
lost.
Yeah,
They never lost a single soldier, which is why they loved our Nathan so much. You know, because he went out there the first time with them, and they came back, not a single soldier lost. And they wanted him to go back out for the second time. They wanted him to stay in the Household Cavalry, but he couldn't ride a horse. Otherwise, he'd have changed cat badges.
Oh, would he?
Yeah, no, he loved it. Yeah. He loved it.
they took him down to stables, and when he saw the size of these horses, he said, "No," he said, "I'll stick to bloody tanks." He said,
Yeah.
But no, he would have joined the HCR.
Funny, isn't it, how he's no problem with sorting out an IED and locating explosive devices in Afghanistan, but like put him near an horse.
Yeah.
He's not going to go anywhere. No. He's not going to go anywhere near it. The was throughout all this time, was there any kind of inclination that there was any, I'll say memory problem, because any kind of PTSD showing, any mental health well-being, because he was so...
I mean, not to us, but we have learnt subsequently from his Nathan, from Lainey, his second wife, that he was having nightmares and he couldn't sleep. And she got him to try to go to see the medical people, but then it was a question of him being downgraded. So he did go on tablets for a while, but then after that he used to go, but he wouldn't tell them the full story because he didn't want to be medically downgraded, because he wanted promotion. So Lainey said, that he just didn't go,
to get the prolonged help, the stuff that he needed.
And if he did go, he'd only go on his good days when he felt great, so that obviously when the psychiatrist was saying to him, "How do you feel?" "Oh, well, I feel great," so he went on his good days, but not on his bad days. So he was covering it up, basically, because of this stigma that's attached in the military. And that's the crux of the matter, is that, it's this stigma attached, and you don't join the army to stay a private soldier all your life. Promotion is part and parcel of your career in the military, as we all know. So to have a stigma and have a mental health, it's not like somebody having their legs blown off or their arms missing or something like that. The troops will always follow you. But if they think they're following somebody that's mentally unstable, then that puts pressure.
There's a lot of wording around this. I'll touch on it in a second, actually. But what do we know what his bad days were like? What he was...
Only
because you've mentioned nightmares, but...
Only through what Lainey's told us, I think... And he did cry once, at our house, sort of, not this Christmas just gone, but the Christmas before. He'd had a lot to drink, and he did open up then to his brother and said that he just felt so guilty that he couldn't save everybody. There had been a horrible incident, I think, that he was involved with in Afghanistan, where villagers got blown up and he had to pick up the bodies and the kids.
Right.
And I think that affected him quite badly.
I think, yeah.
Again, his friend Dean has told us all this since, where they had to pick up bodies and... and
horrific,
I think it was horrific, and they had to put them in wheelbarrows and just...
Oh, my.
Yeah. And I think that affected
And I know
him.
that's true, because obviously I've got, a particular photograph of him, with an injured Afghan in a wheelbarrow. So, that confirms what we've heard.
It's this stigma around, mental health and weakness and then not being able to lead people after that. And I've gone back to a few episodes actually on this, but we're kind of in the area now where I can refer back to these people. And episode 4, the Walter Boozer Teal episode, he mentions about PTSD and the fact that it's a memory problem, and that's why strong people can often get PTSD, because they're putting themselves in situations where, well, yeah, the traumatic situations, and the memory can't file away properly. But it's not weakness; it is strength, because you've done stuff that other people wouldn't or couldn't do.
Yeah.
And that's the wording we need to change here. Yeah. There's this mental health, and there is people with mental health issues, and PTSD can often cause mental health issues. But actually, the stress itself is that memory and trying to file the memory away, and it's because guys have been put in these situations. Yeah.
I think the difficulty is with this is that obviously I'd never looked into anything like this until obviously Nathan's death. But the more I look into it, the more I'm thinking, well, it's the acceptance that, or the non-acceptance, you know, with the military, is that they seem to be very shy at trying to put those 4 letters to a mental health issue. The army tends to always put it down to either alcohol abuse or severe depression.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know whether it's because they're frightened of litigation or what's going on, but I've looked at all the AGIs that come out.
What does that mean? What's an AGI?
I've got it. I can't remember the actual thing.
Like a white paper,
it's the Army general thing that comes out on mental health that is published. And not in all the 26 pages, not once can I find the mention of PTSD. All it says in there is alcohol or severe depression. But even in that, they have to follow up on mental health issues. And again, when we had the coroner's inquest on Nathan, they put it as a narrative verdict.
Yeah.
They did not put it down to suicide. There were 2 senior MOD officials there at the inquest. And as soon as the narrative verdict came out, they disappeared like a bolt out of hell, as if my impression was that, you know, we've got the verdict we want. We didn't want suicide. Yeah. Even though he hung himself and took his own life. But according to the coroner, he could not, by law, justify a suicide verdict because he couldn't be sure that Nathan took his own life intentionally. Now, I just think that's a crazy verdict to come out with, you know, and I am so bitter about it because, again, it's just another cop-out by the system to cover up what is, I think, now becoming an epidemic in the forces of post-traumatic stress disorder. And until we can get it recognised properly and remove the stigma and help these people, you know, you're getting one serviceman, either veteran or serving, and Nathan was still serving at the time, dying every few weeks. More are killing themselves now through suicide than died in the war itself. It's a crazy, crazy system.
I mean, when we were at the funeral, you know, we were sort of stood outside and we were talking to a lot of the household cavalry. And I got talking to one lad who was an officer, and he was crying, you know, and he said he hadn't slept for 10 years. And he was suffering, but none of them have come forward. And it was only because they'd had a lot to drink that their tongues loosened, that he was able to speak to me, but he probably hadn't ever told his colleagues. You know, but he said he hasn't slept for 10 years. You know, our Nathan he's just a tip of the iceberg. There's a whole wave of them coming through. All that served at the same time. It's been this last 20 odd years. They've had so many conflicts. Their mind hasn't had time to catch up because they went from one tour to another tour to another tour. Whereas in our career and my father's career, you had probably 1 or 2 conflicts out of 22 years. So you had time to adjust mentally,
Yeah.
whereas they haven't.
It's just been back. They call it a warrior generation for
Yeah.
a reason, and Nev was absolutely
Yeah.
from the start to
Yeah.
the finish
And
was in that time.
The other thing is they have plenty of time to do training beforehand. They have 18 months to prepare to go to war, but coming back, they have 4 days in Cyprus
Good
to
decompress.
and then they're put back then to do a mundane job, and they're so used to the adrenaline
Yeah.
flowing that they're then sent to do just a normally mundane job, which again, I think that's a lot to do with it, is they're not being, what do they call it when
There's aftercare.
to take it out of them,
yeah. Therapy, like
Yeah.
there's no therapy. There's no.
No, I think there should be group therapy afterwards where lads can talk about it amongst themselves,
Yeah.
a bit like what's happening on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because soldiers can only talk to other soldiers because no one else can relate to what they've done and seen. And there needs to be more of that in the army, I think, where, people can talk about their experiences and know that they're not the only ones. And so, that they can help one another.
I think it needs to be more open, and discussion needs to be
Definitely.
more open. And it's such a, and the way you just described it then, Derek, is horrendous, and I hope this goes out and people learn from that not that experience, but we don't want people going through what you went through. But I'm going to take you back to the beginning of the year, Maria, and in your own time, really. And so we had Christmas. Did you see Nathan at Christmas?
Yeah, he had Christmas with Lainey and Megan.
Yeah.
And then he always came to us Boxing Day.
Was his daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went to Barnard Castle for Christmas Day and came back the same day. And then come to us Boxing Day, where we had, my son and his partner and children.
Was he all right?
He was fine. Yeah, I think he was a bit disappointed that it didn't turn into a bit of a session, because he did like to have a session, but his brother doesn't really, he's not a drinker.
Yeah.
So he went home, he was fine, and then he was on leave it was going to be a fortnight, and he went to go back up to see Megan again in Barnard Castle, but it was a day that it snowed quite badly, and he got halfway, and he had to turn around and come back, and on Facebook I saw he'd put something like, "That's me finished, I'm a broken man," and it shut everything down, and I knew there's something not right, but he had a bit of a temper, and I thought, oh, he's just, but he said he hadn't slept, for ages. So he came to me every night for his tea when he was on leave. I don't think he could use his kitchen. But so he came New Year's Eve for his tea as normal, and I said, "What are you going to do tonight?" Because I felt awful because he hadn't really got any mates in Lincoln. I said, "You can stop here if you want, Nathan, and we'll have a drink here." But no, he said he'd go back. I said, "Well, try and get some sleep, So off he went. New Year's Day, he was supposed to come to us, and he didn't turn up for his tea. And I thought, oh, well, perhaps he's had a few to drink and he's finally slept, so we'll leave him. But the next morning, I just knew, we tried to phone him and whatever, and there was no answer, and I knew what he'd done.
I actually texted him on the night previous and said, look, if you've got any problems, mate, get your ass back here, whatever. And again, he never answered that. Maria goes to bed quite early. I stayed up till gone midnight, and that was the last text I sent to him. And then, as Maria said, the following day we never heard from him again. And again, we just thought, yes, he had had a few drinks the night before, because he did like his gin. and was having a lie-in. So we left it another 24 hours, and then by, I think it was about 8 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd of January, I texted him again and got no reply. So we said, right, we'll go round, because I had kept a spare set of keys to his house while he was away to look after it. We arrived about just after 9 o'clock in the morning to his house. I obviously put the key in the door. The chain was on at the back of the door, and all I could see was his legs from the waist down. On the floor in the front room. So I obviously immediately called the police to make I think it's a section 17 or something entry. So they forced entry in and obviously confirmed that, you know, Nathan was deceased. The coroner was then called, and they reckon he'd been dead possibly about 36 hours prior to that, because rigor mortis had set in.
I think he did it on the stroke of midnight, New Year's Eve, you know, because he was always quite dramatic, and I can just imagine, you know, that he thought he couldn't face another year, you know, because he was coming out the army.
Marie, was you there when?
Yeah. Well, I knew it'd done. Yeah.
It sounds hopefully not a horrible question, but I need to get what your feelings were like that first kind of hour. What was happening to you?
Broken heart, just absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah.
And I still am and always will be. But if we can help in any small way to stop something like this happening for somebody else's family, we will do whatever it takes.
Do you miss him?
Yeah. Oh, yes. We miss his humour, his very dark humour. Yeah, and he was so handsome, vital. You know. Yeah, I know. I do.
How do you manage day to day now?
Well, I have my good days and my bad days. I go to the cemetery quite a lot. I've never bought so many flowers in all my life. That's it, you know, you have to carry on. There's no other way of doing it. It's no good. I won't sink into a depression or anything like that. I've got to make people aware of him, you know. He's not to die in vain.
You don't want other people to feel like
No.
you in that first hour, do you? And then
No.
After that?
No. And Nathan was so passionate about his men. He would have done anything for them. And we're carrying it on. We just want to help somebody else.
How's the rest of the family coping with it all?
I think his brother's probably a bit more. I don't know. You see, again, you know, even his brother is probably not showing any, you know, true feelings. I mean, obviously, he was more concerned about his mum.
Yeah, they're more worried about.
He would phone
me.
every day and see how, you know, his mum was getting on and whatever. I mean, we both lost quite a bit of weight in the first couple of weeks because obviously your system shuts down.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you're just constantly crying. You know, you know, it's the what fors, the why fors, you know, why did it happen? Was it our fault? Should we have done this? You know, and 1,001 questions are going on in your head. You know, you're thinking, could I have avoided this? Should we have insisted he stayed that night? You know, we start carrying the guilt, you know, that something more could have been done, should have been done. But, you know, after a period of time, I think you start to try and break down in your own mind, you know, and separate and say, well, no, well, we couldn't have done this, or we, you know, it's just a mental torment that you go through, you know, for a good, well, I mean, in our case, a good couple of weeks, as Maria says, you know, you know, I kiss his photograph every night before I go to bed, and I do the same in the morning. You know, it's,
Maria, what's his
what do you do? You know, he should have been burying me, not the other way around.
Maria, what's we can edit this out, by the way.
Yeah,
if you
sorry.
don't, but because if we don't want to talk about his daughter, then we won't.
Yeah,
But
no,
what's
that's fine.
What's going to be how's she dealing with it? Does she understand?
She seems to be all right. I mean, I don't know if you know Lainey, but
No,
Lainey's
no.
very practical, or shall I say. Yeah, I mean, although they were divorced, Lainey still loved him.
Yeah.
And she said that at the funeral, said she'd love him unconditionally till the day she dies. It wasn't her fault, it was Nathan, really. Megan is having counselling and whatever, so she seems to be all right. And her friend has also lost her father.
Okay.
And, you know, he left everything to Megan. Everything
Yeah.
was to go to Megan, you know. And she's the image of him, absolute image. Yeah. Yeah.
What's lessons? Let me put it in a better way. What lessons can be learnt from this? What can parents do or close?
Don't suffer in silence. If you've got a problem, if you can't sleep and you're having nightmares, go and see somebody. You must talk about it.
What would you say to another mother in your situation? A bit so it's someone's son who's witnessed this.
If you suspect that there's something not right, if your son is quiet, but just probe a bit more. And I wish I'd have probed a bit more instead of thinking he's just in a mood.
Yeah.
And make them go and seek help. I think that's the main thing. But now I think people are talking more and more about it since our Nathan died. And we want that to continue to be our Nathan's legacy.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is with, you know, the trouble is you've got two separate issues here. You've got veterans that are out the forces, and obviously you've got the serving soldiers, which obviously Nathan was still serving at the time. And I think there's got to be a radical shake-up in the army or the services in general, not just the army, you know, all three services. That more's got to be done whilst they're serving to prevent them becoming victims as veterans. If you can catch it in the early days when the treatment, you know, your access to treatment is far better whilst you're still serving than it will when you come out. The trouble with the veterans is that there are far too many charities out there, and I think that veterans are lost as to who is best to go to. And if you go to one particular charity, it becomes so overwhelmed that they can't cope. So, you know, it's like they're playing lip service to it. They're saying, yeah, well, you know, it's combat stress. When we helped Lord Dannatt to fight the government to set up the £20 million a year, £20 million over 10-year helpline, proved its point, because it was said at the time by the government that we cannot justify this £2 million a year over 10 years, 20 million funding, because only 50 servicemen a year would use it. When we actually went down and had a visit with Lord Dannatt and also the Secretary of State for Defence, Gavin Williamson, within a week after we had that visit, the funding was made available. And within the first week, they got over 300 calls to that combat stress helpline, which shows how big the problem is out there.
Yeah, it's a tip of an iceberg. Maria, we're going to have to wrap up in a second. Did you want to add anything else to it? Do you want to say anything? You don't have to. All
I can say is I gave birth honourable man that no one's got a bad word to say about against him. He was loved by everybody.
I'll just say that he joined the army at 16, a young, fit, vibrant young man. He died, aged 39, a broken man.
His headstone reads 2503 7586, Warrant Officer Class 2, Nathan John Hunt, MID, Corps of Royal Engineers, 2nd of January 2018, age 39. Always in our thoughts, forever in our hearts. Your life is a beautiful memory. Your absence is a silent grief.